The disarmament agenda I'm launching today goes beyond nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction. Disarmament concerns every country and all weapons, from hand grenades to hydrogen bombs. Deadly weapons put us all at risk, and leaders have a responsibility to minimize that risk. Disarmament, including arms control, non-proliferation, prohibitions, restrictions, confidence building, and, where needed, elimination, is an essential tool to secure our world and our future. Strategic dialogue between the nuclear weapon states remains today limited. There are no bilateral negotiations underway between Russia and the United States for further nuclear arms reductions. Governments are pouring resources into updating old weapon systems, developing new ones, and entering into what many see as a new arms race based on quality rather than quantity. Some 15,000 nuclear weapons remain stockpiled around the world. Hundreds are ready to be launched within minutes. We are one mechanical, electronic, or human error away from a catastrophe that could eradicate entire cities from the map. Human security, national security, and global security are indivisible. When people fear for their lives, their communities, societies, and countries are at increased risk. When people enjoy safety, so do their countries and the world. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, adopted last year and central in the awarding of the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize, demonstrated strong international support for a permanent end to the threat posed by nuclear arms. And it was also a call to break the stalemate in nuclear disarmament negotiations. Since 2014, the fact-finding mission of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons has examined 83 incidents involving the alleged use of chemical weapons in Syria. Investigators have said chemical weapons were used or were more than likely to have been used in 14 cases so far. Each use is a crime under international law, and their widespread use may also constitute a crime against humanity. The Security Council has failed to meet its responsibility to ensure accountability for these attacks. And I'm working with the members of the Security Council to build new leadership and unity to restore shared ownership and respect for the global ban on chemical weapons. Military industries are producing ever more weapons. The arms trade is seeking ever-expanding markets. Countries are building up massive stockpiles of conventional arms, especially in the most conflict-prone regions of the world. And we must counter these destabilizing trends. My initiative will have a strong basis also in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the world's blueprint for peace and prosperity on a healthy planet. Excessive spending on weapons drains resources from sustainable development. It is incompatible with creating stable, inclusive societies, strong institutions, effective governance and democracy, and the culture of respect for human rights. Civilians continue to bear the brunt of armed conflict. Beyond the appalling numbers of civilians killed and injured, conflicts are driving record numbers of people from their homes, often depriving them of food, healthcare, education, and any means of making a living. At the end of 2016, more than 65 million people were uprooted by war, violence, and persecution. As armed conflict has moved from open fields into cities, explosive weapons are particularly deadly for civilians. The combined risks of new weapons technologies could have a game-changing impact on our future security. Our joint disarmament efforts in this area must have a game-changing preventive impact. And there are many things we can do together. Governments can improve oversight, transparency and accountability. All states have a responsibility to determine whether new weapons they seek would be prohibited under international law. The United Nations was created with the goal of eliminating war as an instrument of foreign policy. But 7 decades on, our world is as dangerous as it has ever been. Disarmament prevents and ends violence. Disarmament supports sustainable development. And disarmament is true to our values and principles. That is why I am presenting this agenda for disarmament here today. In 14 cases so far, I work with member states to establish a force standing